today we're going to be making it snow. So the first thing we're going to do is fit to screen, view, fit on screen, or command 0. Now just know I'm working on a Mac, but if you're working on a PC, anytime I say command, it will be control instead. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our foreground and background color to default black and white by hitting D on our keyboard. And then we're going to hit X so that white is our foreground color. Now what we're going to do first is we're going to grab our brush tool. The shortcut for the brush tool is B as in boy, and we're going to pull our hardness up to 100, and we're going to use a brush about the size, probably around 20 or 30 will be good. I'm using the bracket keys to adjust the size, but you can also do it up here in your options bar. And before I do start to paint, we're going to create a new layer, new layer, and we're going to name it snow. Okay, so now as I begin to paint, I'm noticing that it's not quite full strength, so my opacity was down, so I just make sure your opacity is up at 100. Now you want it to kind of look like it's kind of laying here on the windowsill. So this is where your artistic skills come in. So we're going to paint some snow here on our window ledge, and I'm going to make it a little smaller in this area. We want it to kind of be like stuck laying in here. Put some more in this area. Okay, and everybody's will be a little different. Okay, so after we get our snow painted on, then the next part is that we're gonna do our shading. So we're gonna be using our burn tool to shade. So we're gonna find our burn tool. And in this case, we're gonna put it on our highlights. Okay, make sure in your options bar you select highlights, and you're just gonna add a little bit of shading on here. Just to kind of make it look more realistic. And after we do our shade, I'm using a soft edge, by the way, for the shading, so the hardness is on 0. So after you do the shading, we're going to add a little bit of texture. So this is something we do often when we're adding texture. Filter, noise, add noise, and we're going to do it very minimally. So we're 3% on Gaussian, and make sure the check mark is on monochromatic, and then click OK. And then to smooth out that texture that we just added, we're going to blur it. So much like we did with the hot dog, filter, blur, Gaussian blur at 2%. Just a little bit of blur to blend it all together. Okay, it looks now like a little bit of dirty snow, which is kind of what I wanted. Hopefully yours looks a little better than mine. Now we're going to add some icicles dripping down, so we're going to need a new layer. Layer, new layer. Okay, and we're going to use a mid-tone gray to do our icicles. So we're going to click in our foreground color, select a mid-tone gray, and click OK. And now using our brush tool again, we are going to come in here at the bottom and make some icicles. Tiki, trying to paint some icicles here. Okay, now the next part after we have our icicles painted on, we're gonna add some shading. And this time we're gonna use the dodge and the burn tool. So we'll start with the burn tool and we'll keep that on highlights to add some dark spots to our icicles. And then we're gonna go back in with our dodge tool and add some light spots. And for the dodge and the burn tool, I am using a soft edge brush, so that means my hardness is on 0. Okay, to make our icicles look a little more convincing, we're going to be applying a filter. So we're going to be doing our plastic wrap filter. Okay. Got it. Tiki, you need to chill. So we're gonna do filter, artistic, and it's actually under filter gallery, and then under artistic and plastic wrap. Okay, and you can adjust these settings over here on the right until you're happy with how they look. And then you're gonna click OK. So, and then at this point, they should be looking a little bit more realistic. And now we're gonna change the blending mode to hard light. Oops. There we go. So now that is our final step for our icicles. Now we're gonna do the color of the house. Okay, we're gonna turn the visibility off on these top 2 layers and we're gonna click on the background layer. With our background layer selected, we're gonna use our quick selection tool on the plus to select all of the white of the building. Pretty easy. If you mess up, you can just do Command D and redo it. Okay, now we're gonna change the color of our house. So we're gonna do image, adjustment, hue, saturation. Click on the little box that says colorize, and then you can drag the sliders until the house is the color that you would like. I'm gonna do kind of like this bluish color. You can do whatever you want. Then go ahead and click OK, and then we're gonna deselect. Edit. I'm sorry. Select, deselect, or Command D. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're going to add some more, we're gonna add some snow, another layer. Well, actually, before we are gonna add some more snow falling, but before we do that, we're gonna turn the light on inside. We're gonna do it the same way we just did the color of the house, but we're gonna make it like an orange or a yellowy glow inside. So still using our quick selection tool on the plus, we're gonna select the inside of the window, both of them. Now this one's not quite as easy as the last, so you see I need to get rid of that middle strip, so I'm gonna switch to minus, or you could just hold down Option to switch to minus, or Alt on the PC. And you're gonna now, well, I got a little extra here. So you only wanna select the curtain. We're gonna make it glow like there's a light on inside. So then we're gonna do again, we're gonna do image, adjustment, hue, saturation, and we're gonna put it on colorize again, and then we're gonna pull to the yellow or orange hue, and you can bump up the saturation as bright as you would like it. That might be a little too much, but you get the idea. And then you're gonna click OK and deselect again. All right, now you can go ahead and turn on the snow and the icicle layer again, and we are going to click on the top layer, the icicles layer, and we are going to make a new layer, which we're going to name falling snow. Layer, new layer, falling snow. And now this time we're gonna again put our foreground and background color on default black and white by hitting D, hit X to flip flop them, and then I'm gonna grab my brush tool. This time I wanna use a soft brush, and I'm gonna use it on a really large size. So down here I'm just gonna paint in some snow down here at the bottom. You can see how large my brush is. It's on 200. For the final part, I'm going to want my brush even larger. I'm going to try it on 500 to show you. And then I'm simply going to change up here in the options bar where the mode says normal. I'm going to change it to dissolve. And then I'm going to take my brush and just drag it across quickly. And you'll see it's going to give kind of a sprinkling of snow. Now that's kind of a little intense. I didn't even want it that strong. So I'm going to back up and try it again. I'm going to actually drop the opacity down a little bit to, no, I'm actually not, but you get the idea. You don't want it too much. You don't want to cover too much of it. You can change the opacity if you want to for that layer a little bit, or you can just delete it and try again. When you are finished with that, we're going to flatten it, layer, flatten image, and then file, save as, and then we're going to turn it in.